Second thought around bias for action is break it down. Break it down. Take small steps. That's very important. You can imagine, let me give you an analogy or an example. You can imagine someone has an idea, someone has a plan, right? And the plan is, I want to run a marathon. Okay, in case you don't know, running a marathon is running around 42 kilometers. Okay, and the person say, I need to run a marathon. I must run a marathon. The person starts to confess, the person writes it down, puts a picture of himself completing marathon and all of that. That's beautiful. That's where you should start. Okay, because if you can see it in your mind, if you can reset your mind, yes, you will most likely get there as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. So very, very clearly, it's important. You will get there in your mind. But there is a distance between where you are right now and where your mind is. That is bridged by action, right? And this is what I'm saying. You say, okay, I'm going to run a marathon, 42 kilometers. You need to break it down. You need to break it down. You cannot confess yourself to running a marathon of 42 kilometers. It requires action. It requires breaking down that steps into tiny bits, especially if you were not running before. You need to start with a 1 kilometer run. See how it feels, right? Maybe by the time you run 1 kilometer a couple of times, maybe you would adjust your goals a bit, right? Then you start with 1 kilometer, then you go to 5. Okay, for those who are marathoners, they will tell you, your first kilometer, your first 5 kilometers, your first 10 kilometers is indicative of how well you will run a marathon. So you need to break it down. Break it down into smaller steps. 1 kilometer here, 5 kilometers there, 10 kilometers there, half marathon there, before you eventually run a full marathon. The interesting thing is that a lot of people have not completed 1 kilometer of their goals, and they want to get to 42 kilometers. Can you imagine that? That doesn't make any sense. You want to have a bias for action, break it down. Take small steps. People who have a bias for action know that, breaking it down makes it a bit clearer. And they know that they can reward themselves when they complete these smaller actions. So when you complete 1 kilometer, you can, rejoice that, 42 kilometers is still far off, but I completed 1. I completed 5. Guess what? I completed 10. By the time you start completing half marathon, you know that, yes, you're getting there. Okay, if I can, just double my effort, if I can replicate this 2 times, then I'm going to run a marathon. That's how to break it down into steps.